Oh, it's a drink with Derek, and look who I found.
Oh my God.
Joey One Thumb, otherwise known as Brad Garrett.
I told you not to call me at home.
How are you?
Okay, Felicia. How are you, man? How you doing? You look so good and healthy. I look like I fell out of a bum's ass.
You look great though. I mean,
Really?
I mean, you always, I mean, that's a. What did you? The hair looks different.
I tried cutting my own hair. And
Uh-huh.
now every time I look in the mirror, it reminds me I forgot to wash my balls.
That's
See,
I've never had
nothing-
matted hair and realized that my sack was still dirty.
At one point, did you ever have hair?
I did. It's a little bit. It's gray now. You know.
You look good, man. You look good, and we're gonna get through this. That's the main thing. We're healthy. Are you feeling good?
I feel fantastic. I have no issues. Everyone in my family's great, and I mean, it's
Good.
knock on wood, everyone's super healthy, and
Good.
still doing the stuff you're supposed to do. Kind of watching my
all that
girlfriend.
matters.
My girlfriend's mom is 78 years old, so kind of making sure we're doing the whole
What
social.
does she look like, the girlfriend's mom? Because your girlfriend is hot.
She is hot.
She is. Any chance I could take a run at the mom? Because
Absolutely.
I just turned 60,
Mhm.
so that's the new 70. And is the mom single?
She is. She's not, but make a move and see if
Not
she'll
a
dump
problem. It's
see
never
if
been
she'll
a
dump
problem.
the existing husband.
I'm so lonely.
Oh, you can't. You keep insanely busy. Comedian, actor, writer, comedy club owner. Slow the fuck down.
Yeah, I know.
Seriously?
Well, the pandemic has helped everything slow down. So it's a good time for me to just, I got to tell you, I've never just, we're comics, right? So we're either on the road or we're trying to do this. And I've never been home this long, without a restraining order,
Why do you work? Why do you work as hard as you do? I mean, anybody. I mean, you've had an insane career, and I mean, you could technically sit back and go, you know what? I'm just going to chill.
Well, what fun is that? When I think when you stop laughing, she's the only one who knows I can't really sit back because I went through a few things. When you do what you love, I think you don't want to, you don't want to stop. The audience will tell me when to stop. And I think that was back in the 90s. They told me, they just told me, they said, look, you're a hack. It's been done. Why don't you see if you could play Bigfoot on Lifetime?
Now, anybody that's come and seen your show knows that you love to bust people's balls. You sit in the front row at a Brad Garrett show. It's like the splash zone at World. You're going to get wet.
Thank you. What a compliment.
Yeah.
Well, I have no act, and who knows that better?
You're so full of it.
Oh, now, but I've just always, it goes back in the day from when I used to open for different, big acts, and they never want to see the opening act, and I would always just, my material. I was such a large baby. No one wants to hear that. So as I was dying, in front of a lot of people, I just started busting chops out of fear and wanting to be loved, which doesn't make sense. But I don't think, because you're Irish, so you don't care about being loved, right?
No, not so much. No.
It's not a thing for you.
No.
Okay.
A little bit,
That must be nice.
Yeah.
Well,
now, what's the worst reaction you ever got from somebody in the crowd when you went after them just to bust their chops?
I'll tell you the worst thing that ever happened, and it was from a waitress. She threw a bottle at me after I gave her a zinger, and it had to do with her undercarriage because she crouched down to take a drink order, and the dumper was right in the Jew's face, and I was like, I can't work with an echo. And, you can't get hackier than that. And she turned around and she winged a bottle at me, and it got me right here. Thank God this is all linoleum, the entire forehead. When I was in the laboratory, they ran out of tissue.
Where was that at? Do you remember?
You're not going to believe it. It was the first year I had my little club at the Tropicana, right across the street. And I'll tell you how crazy the unions are. We have it on tape, and I go, look. She goes to union. She goes, I was being harassed, right? And we have a thing that if you work in my club, you have to have a sense of humor because everyone's open game and
Sure.
we have fun. If you're sensitive,
Right.
this is not a room for you. So she knew that going in. And I think when she hit me in the melon, she was worried. So she went, to the union, and the Tropicana went to the union and said, look, she threw a bottle at it. They didn't call me a performer in those days. They said at one of our circus people. We threw a bottle at one of our circus people. And they actually they said you better simmer down and not to make fun of our union people. But yeah, that's how crazy that was. It was a plastic bottle, but I'm Jewish, so I figured this is a lawsuit. So I did a tuck and roll off the stage, did a total tuck and roll off the stage, made sure I hit a table, grabbed my knee, and just yelled, "You'll pay for this," until someone yelled, "All clear."
That
That's
sounds
how
about
my
right.
people do it. Yeah, but but that was back in the days I'd get shit. I still get I still walk people. I walk 2 or 3 a night. That think they're coming to see Silly Robert, and but we've worked together. We have so much fun. You're so damn funny.
You're very
really
kind.
are, man. You're one of our favorites, man. And I can't wait till we're back together and we can be and I can stop cutting my own hair and we can hang again. You never thought of a beard?
It's no, I can't. I grew a beard and I just look like it comes in patches, like a fucked up front yard,
Right,
like where the dog keeps skin on one side of it and you can't. This grows and then this doesn't.
Sure.
It's like it's
Sure. You don't think you're part spaniel or anything?
On my penis side, I am.
So you have spots on there.
I have a very small spaniel spotted penis.
That may not be markings.
That's not the COVID either.
Yeah, it isn't the COVID. It isn't the COVID.
No,
man, I got to tell you, it's getting rough. Do you go out because you have beaten so many battles in real life that do you have that attitude when something like this happens? Like, fuck it, they can't get me. I'm okay. I'm gonna go out. Or do you really? Because you don't seem like a guy that would do well at home.
No, I mean,
a while.
Stuff. It's I'm not wearing the mask and doing all that and the gloves. I mean, my girlfriend's very diligent about making sure that she's doing the hand sanitizing and stuff like that. Whenever
I think that's just so she doesn't have to fuck you. Felicia, tell him how you won't touch it. I'm so sorry.
How
old is the mom again? 78.
The mom's 78. Bev.
Bev. What the hell, right?
Bev.
What the hell?
Brad
and she's healthy.
Brad and Bev Garrett, that can work.
Oh, I love the sound of that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Bev versus Brad and the county of LA. I had one of those.
This will work. Yeah. You've been through you've been through a divorce. You're engaged now, which is good. Your fiance is amazing.
She's a sweetheart. Everybody knows. Yeah, she's around for the dough. It's all bullshit. Doesn't give a fuck. You know what I mean? Seriously. It's a quick handy for the old Jew, and she sits on the balcony. She doesn't give a shit. Everyone knows it. Every cliche is true about this relationship. Seriously, she's dusting my sock drawer for prints. I'm telling you. This one, she's gonna. But see, here's the secret. I'm fucking broke. Okay, and I'm telling you this. The first divorce.
Yeah.
I gotta tell you. I gotta tell you them. It could have been Auschwitz, and I don't. I would never ever because you're PC. But I mean, it left a mark. And I felt so bad at the time that I just went, please, you're right. You got to do it. So, this one's going okay. She's not too sharp. So I think sweet girl. I'll go, someone's on the driveway. She'll run out.
You're such a douchebag. What? You're such an ass.
I love her so much.
Oh my God.
I don't know what she sees. And you don't know what she sees. I don't know what it is. People have daddy issues, but who has grandpa issues? Have you ever heard of that?
No, I haven't heard that one.
Yeah.
That's a new one.
But
Now you don't drink. Does she drink?
I don't, man.
Does she enjoy it?
She's a teetotaler.
Right.
She'll have a glass of wine, before having to touch the one-eyed liar. And you can't blame her. I'm not the only one with a bag over the head during those times. But she a little glass of wine, really not much of a drinker, because it'll hurt her case in court.
Well, no, you're 23 years sober now.
23 years sober. I had a real grip on the grape, man.
What's your best drinking story?
Well, right here, I don't know if you can see this scar that looks like the boot of Italy, but when I was opening for Julio Iglesias, who ended up firing me because on the stage, I would say things like, "You ready for the Mexican?" And he was Julio Iglesias, and he was huge. We were playing like hockey stadiums, like in Edmonton. We played the Saddle Dome, and I'm walking out on a platform, and he was a hell of a star in those days because he did all the girls I loved before with the cowboy, and backstage, and he was very nice to me, but the Mexican thing got to him, and backstage he took me aside and he went, "I will tell you one more time, I am not a Mexican, I'm Spanish." And I went, "Oh, a tall Mexican." and that night I felt I overstepped, and I was on his tour bus. We were going from Calgary to Edmonton, and I was hitting it hard. The only thing, I went through everything on the bus at that point. The only thing that was left was silver tequila by a guy named Ricky. It wasn't even like Cuervo or Jose's or Sylvia's.
Right.
It was Ricky's tequila. And I had, what I like to call 4 fingers of it. And I usually slept on the bottom of the bus because the top was for the band and, people that were illegal. So I would always sleep on the bottom. And every time the bus stopped, I would get out. And I would, but that night they had me on the top because somebody had an ear infection and couldn't write. Long story short, I'm feeling no pain. The bus stops at a gas station, and I think I'm on the first level, and I'm on the second on the double decker, and I walk off, and I do a header. I do a header right on the pavement, and opened up the face a little, and his drummer was a wonderful part-time fireman, a reserve fireman was his drummer, and I fell down, and I was on the road about 3 months with him at this time, and the drummer says, "I think you really have an issue," he said to me, and I said, "So keep me on the bottom." That was my denial joke to the guy. So why would I have an issue? Why do you have me on the top? So I had every reason, and we went.
We're sticking you up top.
Yeah, exactly, because they were hoping something would happen and they could, get Carrot Top back. And but I still did it for a few years after that. And in 1997, I called it quits. But I'm not one of these preachy guys.
No, not at all.
Yeah, I mean, as you know, we have a nice bar in the green room.
No, absolutely.
Totally I'm around it. I was just done. It doesn't work for everybody. I was never good with moderation. You've seen me masturbate, and it's with a vigor. It's with emotion and an anger.
Well, your enthusiasm, your sober, enthusiastic masturbation is I mean, it's unbelievable. I mean, I can't. Your technique is.
Thank you. Well, it's not a technique as much as everything is in the. I don't have a lot of upper body strength. Okay, which is part of my problem.
Right.
But we replace one addiction for another. I think you know what I mean. So it's one thing or another. How many years have you been?
That's why you like people sitting in your particular chair in the green room. I understand that.
Well, I can tell you why. Because, most comics, they're fucking animals. They're filthy people. You know this. And there's only one chair in the green room that fits my jumbo can. And when I go there and I see one of the acts sit in my chair and his feet aren't touching the ground, I'm like, please, just this one. But I do share. I do. I've sat in other chairs. All I ask is when you're at the club, don't take a dump in the green room bathroom. That's all I ask. The only one that's left me one was Steve Trevino. But you know how they cook.
Yeah, well, he had no choice.
Yeah, that's right. And it's interesting.
A river runs through it. It's going to happen somewhere. It's either going to happen in your green room or it's going to happen right outside the box office.
He FaceTimed me during it.
Oh, that's even better.
Yeah, he really did. It was pretty fantastic.
Those are the people you hang with.
Yeah, because there's a sign,
right.
Don't shit here.
Keep calm and no shitting. Yeah.
Yeah, so he's FaceTiming me. He's sitting down and he's like, I read no English. He was doing that bullshit with me. It was pretty. That's fantastic. Classic. Pretty fantastic.
Question for you. So you're on Raymond. Raymond comes out in 1996. When was the first time that you realized that you were famous enough when you're out in public that you couldn't be a douchebag anymore? Do you remember that?
Well, I'm still a douchebag. That's never been a problem.
Exactly. I mean, to the point now where you wouldn't have your today everybody's got their camera and it would be some moment or whatever. But I mean, even back in late '90s when the show was exploding, was there a moment when you realized you were at a certain place and all of a sudden people started kind of converging around you and you're like,
it was
real. Yeah,
it was like after the show, we were originally on Friday nights when Raymond aired, and we were getting destroyed because back in those days Friday night was the kid night. And we were getting destroyed. But at that time, the president really believed in the show. And he said, I'm going to put you on Monday nights after Cosby. And that was it. We finally got the eyes on us. And those were the days where they didn't give you 2 episodes. And if you failed, they tried, if they believed in the show, they tried different placements, different things, different advertising. Nowadays, it's a crapshoot.
Right.
But they we went after that show. This is before the raping. This is the Cosby Show. Before just touch it, go touch it. It was before the touching, and Rudy, in my opinion, Rudy was never right. So we had a little bit of a wave, and then a year later, after every show, we would all go to a restaurant near the studio and we would hang out. And it was us, it was the Frasier people, it was the Friends people, and we all shot around the same time. And we would just, hang, not with each other, because we wanted, everyone after a shoot, you just kind of want to hang. But we really started to feel it as you would go places. And it's hard for me to hide, because I'm a giant. So I'm sure that has something to do with it. But it just hit a note with folks. Took about a year and a half to really find its footing, but then it was pretty great.
One of my favorite stories is you working with Sinatra, because I'm a huge Frank fan, huge Rat Pack fan. What did you, when that came, how did that even come about with you getting a chance to work with him?
Well, I was opening for Sammy Davis in Lake Tahoe, and Frank went to see the show, and Frank was old then, and still the greatest ever, but he was older then. So he saw my show, and he went to Sammy and said, I like this. I need someone with no jokes. And I was perfect, because you would watch Tom Dreesen, and his stuff is so cerebral. So that happened with that. And here's one of the greatest lines. This is a true Sammy story. It happened to me. We would go on the road with him. And when I was growing up and the parents were, going through their thing and they're going through the divorces and stuff, I got a lot from my dad. And my dad was a huge Rat Pack fan. So my albums around the house, it was Sammy Davis Live from the Sands. It was Sinatra at the Copa. it was all that great type of, torch song stuff that it wasn't, for me, it wasn't Led Zeppelin. It was soul and Motown.
Right.
And it was the standards. So when I got to work with Sammy, my dad was like, this is unbelievable. And my dad would never push. My mom, God bless her, she was like, why can't I meet the black man? Where my dad was like a very, 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 very different. But with Sammy, he wouldn't fly because when he would do a gig, it would be like on the road and a semi would follow his tour bus because he would have to bring his couch, his artwork. He had a console, cocktail table, Pac-Man machine. And when he would go, even if it was just 2-3 nights at a theater, he would have movers change the walls, and he would pay for it. He wanted to feel at home. So he was just that type of cat. And his suits were like this big, but he would have literally, it was like, it was incredible. But he would have 100 of them travel, 100 suits. Sure. And like right before the show, he'd go, let's go with the olive green. Things that just didn't make any. So we stopped. He refused to use air conditioning on his buses. And he would cook Creole food on this huge Prevost bus.
Oh, that had to smell amazing.
Smelled amazing, but it's July back east. We're driving back in, and you can't have the air on. And I'm back there with this bodyguard. And I remember the guard's gun kept slipping out of his sock because he was sweating so bad. So the name of the driver of his bus was called Jolly. It was this big black guy. He goes, Jolly, let's stop and get a soda at the next Arco. Okay. So we stopped the bus. Sammy Davis walks off the bus at this Arco in Cohasset, Massachusetts. And he had stopped drinking momentarily at that point. And I was drinking like I was going to the electric chair in those days. And we stopped, and he was doing a strawberry crush. There's a brother. Or orange crush. With a little shot of ketchup on the side. Little shot of rooster sauce. So he was so cordial and gracious that we stopped. And these are the days where the machines took coins.
Sure.
Okay. And he would let everyone go. We're all standing in line for a fucking soda because we're parched on this bowl of gumbo on wheels that we're all driving in, and he's cooking it, and he can barely reach the stove. It's like, where's the paprika? It was a son. So we're in line. He's at the soda machine, and he goes and letting everybody go before him, and I'm last, and he's behind me. And I go, Mr. Davis, please go before. No. And I go in my pocket, and I have no coins, and I feel like I'm such a putz. So all I have is a 20. So the only one behind me is Sammy Davis. So, and I turn around and I go, Mr. Davis, do you have change for a 20? And he looked at me without missing a beat, and he goes, babe, a 20 is change. And I died.
That's great.
Yeah.
Now, when you were working with Frank, did you hang out with him at all?
There really wasn't any hanging with him. He would hold court. He would say like, dinner tonight at Patsy's at the Radio City. And you'd show up at Patsy's. I once had a dinner with him at the Desert Inn. It was me, Rich Little, a guy with a glass eye, and like 4 hookers. So it was interesting. I left with Rich. And but it was
his Jimmy Stewart impression that got your dick hard, wasn't it?
That's exactly what it was. Yes, and his mom's Mabley, which was incredible. It was great, and Frank would go, Rich, do Carson, and Rich would do the thing, and I was sitting there, and it was really very, very surreal, very, very crazy, but he would hang out, Frank, in those days. Now we're talking, he's 78, 79.
Right.
He would hang out in the lounge with 4 deep of people, and 3, 4 in the morning, and the lounge closed at 1 o'clock in those days. He wanted the old lounge at the Sands. Frank, let's go to bed. Let's go. I'm going nowhere. It became that. So I would, of course, being the macho guy I am, I would just crawl away on all fours and hide under a roulette table. But I had this. There was the one time I was dating this blonde chick that was, not nearly as lovely as Izzy. And she was way over my head, way out of my game. I mean, people would look at her and go, "Oh, he's obviously kidnapped her." And I was opening for Frank at the DI, and I said, "Hey, maybe you'll come into Vegas, and I'm opening for Frank." And she goes, "You're opening for Frank, Junior or Senior?" And I went because I was so mature. And I went, "No, the old man, really?" And she gets here. So I'm walking backstage, and you couldn't go to his dressing room, unless you were invited. And it was a whole thing. You'd have to go through. But he was always he loved stand-ups. He loved comedy. And he was always very, very nice. But I'm walking by with this lady, and he pops his head out. He was just, I don't know what he was doing. And he's in his Frank robe with the FS on the thing. And he goes, "Hey, Greg, how you doing?" He called me Greg. And
all the time or just that time?
He would introduce me as Greg to come out and take a bow. He called me Greg.
All
Greg
the time.
Barrett. Greg Barrett for 2 years.
That's
Greg
hilarious.
Barrett. And I didn't have the balls to go, "Frank, look at the marquee." He's not the good guy to do that to. So and my mom came to one show.
He seems very forgiving. I can't believe that would not be
that's his forgiving beyond belief. And my mom came to one show. We had to get her escorted out of the casino because she was hitting on Steve Lawrence. This isn't a joke, by the way.
Seriously?
And my mom was like, "Why can't you tell him that your name is Brad? Sit him down." "Oh, Frank, I'm Brad." The problem was it's tough to sit Frank down. So I'm taking a bow for 2 years to Greg Barrett. Okay. And so anyway, I'm walking backstage with the date, and he sticks his head out. He goes, "Greg," and there's no one else around. So I have to go, "Yeah." Right. And she's like this. And he says, "After the show, come back to my dressing room. You bring the lady, have a little pasta fazool." And I said, "Well, Mrs. Sinatra, that's very nice. I'm getting a little pizza from Patsy's. We'll have a little something. All right, you come by." He said, "It's very first time ever." After the show, he goes out there. He does a show. He had a great show. He remembered 2 songs. Had a great show. And I knock on his. I ask Hank, who would stand in front of the door. I go, "Hank, is it okay?" "Yeah, he invited you, right?" I said, "Yeah." And he says, "Yeah, knock on the door. You never know how Frank's going to be, but knock on the door." So I knock on the door, and I'm with the Swamp Angel, and he opens the door and he goes, "What do you want?" Just like that. Okay. And I look at Hank, who's next to the door, and he goes, and I said, I literally said, "It's me, Frank, Greg. You ready for this?" I was even using the wrong name. And he looks at Hank. He goes, "Who is this?" And Hank goes, This is Brad, Frank. He opens for you, And Frank goes, "Well, I'm busy." And he closed the door. So that night, the pussy wasn't rampant. I'll put it that way. It was a lot of please just touch it. I'm 4 large into this weekend.
Would you? That's a great story.
Yeah.
Of all the stuff you have done, all the TV shows, movies, stuff like that, would you ever do an adult film?
Would I ever do an adult film?
Yeah.
First of all, I have a 2-inch dick and no stamina. I couldn't do a trailer for an adult film. Have you ever been in one? Have you ever done one? Because I have a feeling you have it going on down there. Because you got a big, thick neck. Have you ever done an?
I'm Irish. Film? I got nothing.
No, but you're always in a stupor, so you know they can
I'm
get
hung
you
like a
easy.
leprechaun. I don't have anything down there.
No, I wish I would. You know what? I always wanted to play like in a very dark comedy, a half-hour comedy. I always wanted to play like an old ex porn star, you know, who's remembered as, you know, John Longfellow or whatever.
Right.
You know, what is your life? I mean, it's one thing when you're a has-been actor or comedian, but you know, to be a washed-up porn star,
That's
you know,
yeah.
what do you go into? Because the money's okay, but it isn't like I can live on this forever.
Now, would you ever? Well, is that something that you?
Honey, what do you think? You think I'd have any chance in the porno business? Okay, she just flipped me off. She just flipped me off. She goes, sure, Brad. Sure, with your 2-inch pecker.
What have you not done that you want to do?
Huh?
What have you not done that you want to do?
Quality. You know, I'd like to have a good set without talking about McNuggets. Do you understand?
No, acting wise,
I'm very
what
grateful.
Do you want to do? You've done, I mean, the dramatic stuff. I mean, from the.
I love the dramatic stuff. You know, I'm starting to do a little more of that, and you know, playing some of the heavier roles. I'd like to go back to Broadway in a drama, though I'm scared of it because, you know, at 60 the memory is a little light, and you got to be. I mean, my God, it's just. So I'm thinking of, you know, but I'd like to be in a nice drama or a comedy off network that really does what we do, you know, that has that sensibility of an over the hill kind of guy who is just really inappropriate and doesn't see what's wrong with it. Like so many baby boomers that walk around leaving a party going, what'd I say? What happened? You know what I mean? I'd love to do something in my comedic tone, which a lot of people look at me and go, you know, so I don't think it's like on everyone's list, you know, because, you know, I went to HR for the first time in my life, which I'm not allowed to talk about, but I've seen how many followers you have, so I'm not worried about it. But thank you. But I actually went to HR recently, first time ever in my life, you know, for something I said on the set of a show that that offended a minority, and I was doing it as a joke.
You're serious.
Very, very serious, and I thought it was a joke. And when they called me up, because people, you know, comics, everyone always messes with each other. And when they called me up and said, "Hey, Brad, it's Gail. I work in HR with Walt Disney Productions." Sure. You know, and you know, I was so mature. I was like, "I didn't finger that mouse." You know, I didn't know I was talking to someone real, because people always fuck with me on the phone. And they said, "No, we want to talk to you." And I blanched. I was like, I can't, because in my head, I know I didn't grab anyone's ass. Right. I didn't do. So I'm like, what could, it was me being me. Between shots, I threw off a line to one of the people on the show, got a big laugh, which is, you know, I'm not used to. So I continued, and it became a thing. And I actually had a list. There was someone there that was writing down shit I was saying. And so I go up to HR, and I won't get into who it involved or anything else, because that would just get me in trouble. But she goes, "Do you know why you're here?" And I said, "Well, you must have a list." I was joking, right? She goes, "I do." And she pulls out, she goes, "Did you ever say any of these things?" And she said, "Who put their balls in the hummus?" Okay. And I said,
"Yeah, that's."
I said that.
Sure.
I said that. And then I start to defend it. I go, "Have you ever seen hummus before anyone digs into it? It has like that double. Right. And she goes, "And you think that's okay?" I said, "I got to tell you, I was in line at craft service. It was lunch. There were 2 transportation guys behind me. They were howling. Okay. And she goes, you're the third comic we've had in here this month. And right away, you know how insecure we are. I'm like, who are the other two? What were their lines? What were their jokes?
Give me that report.
Yeah. And she goes, I can't get into that. You know, they're very serious. And she goes, that offended someone. I said, how could that offend? And then it went from there. And then there, you know, I said something to, you know, a couple of the other people you know, and she goes, you know, I know this is your act. And she goes, but it's a new day and age right now. And I said, let me ask you something. I said, because I'm older than you by a bit, but not much. I said, don't you think the pendulum has gone very to the other side and at a very frightening rate when it comes, you know, we're humor. It's And she goes, oh, there's no question. She says, I went to a Chappelle concert the other night in Vegas. I went with some people from my work and I was afraid to laugh because it was so inappropriate and hilarious. And I said, I really feel sorry for you. And she goes, it's a different time. She said, just save it for the stage. So,
wow.
Yeah. But I'll find out who it was. You know me, Garrett. Well, I'm going to kill him with kindness. That's what the therapist said. Kill him with kindness.
That's how that's going to work for you?
Yes, it's going to work. It's going to work. It's going to work for him. That's what's important.
I'm sure it is. Dude, I can't wait for everything to get back to normal. Can't wait to get you back.
Man, I can't wait to have you back. When we're back, you're going to be there. Hopefully you're in town because when we open, I want you there that week. So
it's going to be a blast.
They keep moving it, but I'd love having you.
At the MGM, get out there, see it. Penny Dreadful, Showtime.
Yes.
When is that? With all this
starts April 26th.
The premiere date pushed back, or it's still on April 26th.
April 26th. It's a small role. I don't come into it till like the fourth episode. Small role, but I have to tell you, pretty amazing cast. Nathan Lane's in it. Yeah, Danny Zavato's in it, and the chick from honey, what's your name, honey, from that show you like? What is it, Game of Thrones? And My Little Pony? Is that the other thing you watch? Who's the girl from Game of Thrones, honey? Okay, look at me with eyes.
You are such an ass.
She has colic. She has colic today, so it's not a good
that's the thing. I'm gonna hook you up with my girlfriend Veronica's mom, Bev. I'm gonna bring her out to a show one time, and you can check out.
Please do that. Please, Izzy would love it if you could find someone for me. She would. Her life would be so wonderful, right, honey? She just went, yeah. She stirs the cyanide in the stew. I love you, brother. I appreciate you having me, man.
See Brad, Penny Dreadful, Showtime. You're awesome, brother. I love you, man.
Thank you, man. Love you too. Appreciate you. Stay well.
Thanks, man. You too.
How does this go off?